Welcome back to our NFL predictions that are weekly here on the channel. It is week number 17 of the NFL season, and we are heading down the stretch. And in just a couple weeks, we will have the postseason for the NFL, and we're really starting to narrow down the amount of teams, or the number of teams that are still alive in the playoff race. And again, we might get a step closer in today's video, determining again who will be in the postseason this year. But before we get into the predictions, folks, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more weekly NFL predictions here on the channel. Again, we'll have week 18 next week, and then after that, obviously, you got the wild card round, the divisional round, championship game, Super Bowl. I'm not picking the Pro Bowl. There's no reason to. So again, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Yesterday we had our college football predictions with the college football playoffs. So go make sure to check that video out. Actually, earlier today we posted that. So again, link in the description down below. There is the full bowl game schedule. Again, the 24th is today, Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas. We again had our college football playoffs round 2 predictions plus all the bowl weeks. Again, on the 2nd of January after the new year, we will have round 3 of the playoffs, which is the Final Four, plus the 5-ish bowl games that are still left after that. And on the 7th, we will give we'll have a prediction for the national championship game. Okay, and also, folks, make sure tomorrow to go check out our college basketball best bets. There is still college basketball on Christmas, and that video will be out at about 9 a.m. Pacific tomorrow, so go make sure to check that video out. And our first video tomorrow on Christmas will be the NBA, obviously. At 8 a.m. tomorrow, we will have our NBA predictions with the 5 games going on in the association tomorrow. But first, here are our NFL predictions for Christmas, because yes, the NFL has invaded Christmas, and we start with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm taking the Steelers at home, okay? Kansas City's little run is going to end. They're 14-1. I think there's a very good chance they lose out here. And if KC loses out, then insert the Denver Broncos into the 7th seed, which again, because if KC loses out, that means the Broncos would have to be in the playoffs regardless of what happens this week. And also the Buffalo Bills would be the number 1 seed in the AFC. I think it's really likely that happens, I'll be honest with you. Guys, the Chiefs are so unimpressive. They just are. Now they have to go on the road in back-to-back games. They're just not that good of a team, and I don't think the Steelers are all that great either. They have lost in back-to-back weeks, but both on the road to the Eagles and to the Ravens. Russell Wilson's just been okay, honestly. I mean, he had that big fumble that kind of shifted the game last week on Saturday against the Ravens. And again, this is a short week going to a Wednesday nighter. However, this is just the turnaround teams have going from Sunday to Thursday, because these teams played on Saturday. So it's just a normal short week for these teams. I like the Steelers to beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs, again, continue to win one-score games. They have won one-score games in every win, I think, but 3 this season. Again, the Texans win was by 8. You get the called back fumble return because of the roughing the passer call on Mahomes. Of course, Tank Dell gets injured against this voodoo magic Chiefs team. I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. Every week it's something else. Something randomly happens for the Chiefs, and they win the football game. I think their luck is running out, because hear me out, guys. I think there's a real possibility the Chiefs lose out the rest of the way, and I'm including the playoffs here. The Chiefs lose this week to the Steelers, they lose next week to the Broncos, and they get Denver in the playoffs, and they lose again. Again, the matchup ultimately that we all want to see, or the team that, again, we really want to see in the postseason is the Cincinnati Bengals. However, I think the Chiefs are going to be the team that's going to prevent that, because with them losing next week to the Broncos, that's going to eliminate the Bengals, the Colts, and the Dolphins, which I don't know if we really want to see the Colts. But definitely the Dolphins and the Bengals I'd rather see in the playoffs over the Broncos. However, I think the Chiefs are at that point where even if they're hosting the Broncos in the first round of the postseason, going in that game off of 2 straight losses, I think they lose to Denver. Denver almost beat them at Arrowhead earlier this season. I think Sean Payton and Bo Nix would go in there and win that football game. So again, we can't, either one of 2 things happen, all right? The Chiefs are the 1 seed, and likely the Bengals get in the playoffs. But you know what that would mean? The Bills and the Bengals play each other in the first round. The 2 teams that probably have the highest chance of beating the Chiefs in the playoffs. I don't know, man. It's the voodoo magic. It keeps coming back. Like these scenarios, it's either KC has to play in the first round, but they do get Denver, even though I think they lose that game, or they're the 1 seeded, and then the Bengals and the Bills have to play each other right away. I don't know. Give me Kansas City, though, to lose in Pittsburgh. I think the Steelers' defense, and I think, honestly, matchup-wise, the Steelers are difficult for the Chiefs. It's just the offense out of Pittsburgh that really concerns me. The game is in Pittsburgh. I think the Steelers' defense really makes it rough on the Chiefs in this football game, just because, again, Mahomes, guys, you're hard-pressed to say Mahomes is the top 15 quarterback in the NFL this year. Is he? I mean, I made a list of the top 32 quarterbacks in the NFL, I will quickly read them off for you. And you can call me stupid or whatever, but like this is how I would rank it right now. Ready? Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Jared Goff, Justin Herbert, Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts, Matthew Stafford, Jordan Love. The Jordan Love placement might need to be higher. I'll give you that. Maybe Love honestly should be above Hurts. Whatever. Sam Darnold, Russell Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, Patrick Mahomes, Tua Tagovailoa, Jaden Daniels. Maybe Daniels should be higher too. C.J. Stroud, Bo Nix, Aaron Rodgers, Geno Smith, Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, Bryce Young, Kyler Murray, Caleb Williams, Deshaun Watson, Drake May should probably be higher than those guys, but still. Anthony Richardson, Derek Carr, Drew Lock, Michael Penix should probably be above Lock, maybe. Desmond Ridder, Mason Rudolph. That's where I'd rank the starting quarterbacks in the NFL right now. I don't know. I don't think Mahomes is that great. Give me the Steelers to go and win this football game on Christmas, defeating the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think that would clinch, or the Steelers are already in the playoffs, but still, give me Pittsburgh to win this game against the Kansas City Chiefs. Next up, we go to the other Christmas Day game. We've got the Houston Texans taking on the Baltimore Ravens. The Texans literally have nothing to play for. They've already clinched the AFC South. They have nothing to play for at this point. And the way Tank Dell just got injured, do they really care about this football game? I mean, it is at home. It's on Christmas. I don't know. I don't like the Texans that much, man. I've been saying it all year long. I just don't think this team's all that great. They're playing in a very weak division. It is an incredibly weak division. Hell, the second best team in this division is the damn Indianapolis Colts. And Houston's a 9-6 team. They're coming off that loss to Kansas City. They're already in the playoffs. And the Ravens are much better. Guys, Baltimore's been really good, obviously, recently. I know they lost that game to the Philadelphia Eagles, but coming off the bye week, they've won back-to-back in New York. Who cares against the Giants? But then the Pittsburgh Steelers in their last game. Lamar Jackson's a dog, man. Jackson is an absolute monster. And Derrick Henry, obviously, is not, going to, put up the numbers that a guy like Saquon Barkley is going to put up, obviously. But, Henry's been great as well for the Ravens this season. They should be able to run over the Texans. I truly believe it. I don't think Houston's that great. And I think, again, this will probably, the way I see things going right now, again, we still have Week 18 next week, and I will give you my full playoff matchups next week. But the way I have things going right now, in the AFC in the first round, I think the Houston Texans are going to host the Baltimore Ravens. And I think Baltimore will win that too. I really think Houston, honestly, is the worst team in the postseason right now. If you don't count the Atlanta Falcons, who should not be in there, God, I hope they lose this week. I don't want to watch the Falcons in the playoffs. I just don't. I think they will. We'll get to that later. But right now, Houston is probably the worst team in the playoffs. Give me Baltimore to go into NRG Stadium and dominate the Houston Texans. So we've got football on Wednesday, and you know what? We have got football on Thursday as well on Amazon Prime. It is the Seattle Seahawks going to Soldier Field to take on the Chicago Bears. The Bears suck at football. There's no other way to put it. I mean, seriously. It's just... They've lost 9 in a row. They're not a good football team, and the Seahawks are just better. I know Seattle's coming off back-to-back losses, but to those NFC North teams in the Green Bay Packers and the Minnesota Vikings, those are really difficult games. This is a must-win for the Seattle Seahawks. They have to win this football game because if they lose in Chicago and the Rams win on Saturday night against the Arizona Cardinals, the Rams will clinch the NFC West. Ultimately, this will likely be the game on Sunday Night Football next week, Seahawks-Rams. I'll tell you why in a minute. I have another prediction that I think will determine what the Sunday night game is going to be. Obviously, again, we'll get to that in a minute with the NFC North. But I do think Seattle goes into Chicago and wins. I don't think this is too hot of a take. The Bears are just bad. I don't think the Seahawks are that good either, I'll be honest with you. I mean, that interception Geno Smith threw at the end of the game, I know, again, you had to get into field goal range. They had no timeouts, but man, that wasn't great. They can't really effectively run the football, it feels like. JSN's great. DK kind of shows up in spots. But the defense out of Seattle isn't great as well. I mean, they did have I think a quarter and a half where Minnesota literally couldn't get anything going, but that's kind of been a theme for the Vikings this season. They'll get off to hot starts, and then when they come out the locker room in the second half, they just kind of just die down and don't do anything, and they pick back up again in the fourth quarter. It's kind of weird. But I do think Seattle beats the Bears here, guys. Seattle's lost back-to-back games. Well, the Bears have lost 9 straight games. I mean, it's just... The losing streak continues, and the next week they got to go to Lambeau and play the Packers in a game that will matter for the Green Bay Packers. So if you're a Bears fan, I'm sorry. I just feel bad. Because this team's not going anywhere next year either. They play in the best division in football. I think Caleb's a good player. I really think so. I think Caleb Williams is a good quarterback. It's just if everything else just is kind of collapsing around him. He's trying. And obviously, again, it's not like it's, this team would be great if they just gave Caleb more weapons. Well, again, some of it does lie on Williams as well. But man, it's just, I don't know. They're the Bears. I don't know. It's just something about this team. They just can't win. And their only wins of the season are Tennessee, Carolina, Jacksonville, and then somehow they beat the Rams. But they beat the Rams without an O-line and without Puka and without Cooper Kupp. Give me the Seattle Seahawks to beat the Chicago Bears, staying alive in the NFC West, and ultimately forcing an NFC West championship game next week against the Los Angeles Rams. Let's go on to the Saturday games. We start off with the Los Angeles Chargers taking on the New England Patriots. This line should be a lot more, -4. I think the Chargers blow out the Patriots. Drake May's great, don't get me wrong. Drake May is going to be the face, obviously, of the New England Patriots for years to come. He's the only reason that they are in these football games. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, they only lost to the Bills by 3 points. They're not going to do that back-to-back weeks. The Chargers are going to run right through this team because the Chargers' defense is better than the Bills' defense. And I think ultimately that's what's going to really hurt Buffalo in the postseason is their defense. They give up a lot of plays through the passing game, obviously. They won that shootout against the Detroit Lions, but still, that defense is really going to hurt them. And obviously, again, Josh Allen's great, but there's only so much Allen can do. I think that's ultimately going to really hurt Buffalo in the playoffs, especially, again, if they see a team like the Lions in the Super Bowl, like they're not going to see the Bucs in the Super Bowl, but like a Lions, a Packers, a Vikings in the Super Bowl, that's going to really kill them. On the AFC side, the Ravens, I think, is a really tough matchup for the Bills. The Bengals are an extremely tough matchup for the Bills. If that, happens, hell, even the Dolphins, even though I think the Bills would beat the Dolphins. The Chiefs, though, is a great matchup for Buffalo. I'm just saying. I think it's an amazing matchup for the Bills this season. Regardless, and the Chargers match up really well with the Patriots. Their defense is really good. They've bounced back again since that Bucs destruction. I know what you're thinking. Oh, they gave up 27 points against the Broncos. Well, that second half, that defense really bared down and did not let Denver to do much. So I'm fine with the Chargers defense. I really am. And then Justin Herbert, again, I read off my list of quarterbacks. Again, I think I had, Herbert at 5, just behind Jared Goff. I think. Yeah, I had him at 5 behind Goff. So, I mean, the Chargers are a good football team. I think they'll go into Foxborough and win. What do the Patriots really have going for them? Again, I don't really buy into Gerard Mayo as a coach. The Patriots have not won a football game since they went to Soldier Field and beat who else? The Bears. So again, it goes to show you where the Bears are at. I don't know. I think we're fine here. I think the Chargers win this football game, and I think they do it fairly easily. Game is in New England, yes, but the Chargers do get J.K. Dobbins back this week, and Ladd McConkey's been an absolute monster for the Chargers this entire season. He's been great as a rookie receiver for this team. Give me the Chargers to go into Foxborough and take care of the New England Patriots. Next up, we go to the other Saturday game. There's 3 of them, but this is possibly the biggest one. It's got to be. This is basically a playoff game. The Cincinnati Bengals host the Denver Broncos. Now again for the Broncos, they ultimately have, I know their first chance is gone, but they really have 3. They had 3 chances to win 1 game. Here's their second. They lost the Chargers game on the road. Now they got to go to Paycor to take on the Bengals. I don't think they win this one. Again, I think the one, if they're going to get one, it's going to be next week in Kansas, or at home against Kansas City. I don't think they get the Bengals here, though. Give me Cincinnati. Joe Burrow's great. It's, the defense still is not great. And Bo Nix, I think, is going to have a field day. I really think he's going to. But I just think the Bengals are going to be able to outscore the Broncos. Guys, Joe Burrow leads the NFL in passing yards with 4,250. The guy is elite. He truly is. And it is a shame that there's a very good chance they miss out in the postseason. But you know what? If they could have just beat the Patriots in week 1, if they didn't get robbed against the Chiefs in week 2, if they, it could have came out of that Ravens game they lost by 1 point earlier in the season. I mean, if they just won any of these games, this would be the game that would get the Bengals in the postseason. But now, again, ultimately, their fate resides in the Broncos losing next week. And on top of that, they got to go to Pittsburgh and beat the Steelers in a game that will probably matter for Pittsburgh. So there's a world where the Bengals win this game this week. The Broncos lose next week to the Chiefs, but the Bengals still lose to the Steelers, and then the Miami Dolphins sneak their way into the postseason. Because the Dolphins are not losing a game for the rest of the year. There's a very good chance Miami gets in. I'm just saying. But that would mean, wait, who would get in then? Because then the Colts have to lose. Wait, hold on. Who's the tiebreaker, Colts and Dolphins? Oh, it's the Colts. Never mind. So the Colts will get in the playoffs. They play the Giants, which they're going to win. And they play week 18. They play a division. They play Jags. Oh my goodness, the Colts might get in the playoffs. Let's see Bills Colts in the first round. Damn it, dude. It's just not fun. That's honestly disappointing. You have to watch Anthony Richardson in the playoffs. Give me the Bengals, though, to beat the Broncos. They're just going to be able to outscore Denver. Denver's defense is good, yeah, but Cincinnati's got one of the best offenses in the NFL, and it's just hard to stop Jamar Chase. It's that simple. Jamar Chase is that good. Joe Burrow's that good. It's really tough to get the Bengals off the field. It's that simple. It's really tough to get them off the field. They're good. They are really good. For Denver, right, 9-6 team. Bo Nix, is playing pretty well. Had a really good first half against the Chargers. Cooled down mightily in the second half. I think, again, the Broncos like the Chargers. If these teams can get their quarterbacks more weapons in the offseason, I really think they're going to be good next year, like really good, like potentially beat the Chiefs in the AFC West good. Because, again, we just talked about the Chargers. Again, Justin Herbert's throwing to Stone Smart, Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnston, who's horrible. Those are the guys he's throwing the ball to. Look at who Bo Nix is throwing the ball to. Marvin Mims, Cortland Sutton, who is good, but other than Sutton, Vele, Troy Franklin, his running backs are Audric Estime and Jordan McLaughlin, and it's just Javonte Williams. I don't know. If they can get Bo Nix some more help, I'm just saying the Broncos are not going to be bad. And I think they're going to beat the Chiefs next week, but we'll see. Give me the Bengals, though, to win this game against Denver. The game's in Cincinnati, and the Bengals will be able to score at will. So give me Cincinnati to win, and I just don't think the Broncos are able to keep up. So give me Cincinnati to win the football game, and they will cover the spread, which is 3.5 as well. Let's go into the final Saturday game, and it is the Los Angeles Rams taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Ultimately, I know this isn't the right thing to say here, but it's kind of true. The Rams shouldn't really care about this game. This doesn't matter. They're still going to play their guys. They're still going to try to win the football game. But if the Seahawks win on Thursday, this game doesn't mean anything. Because regardless, they're going to play next week for the division championship. Even if they win this game this week. They can't clinch anything this week unless the Seahawks lose. So unless the Seahawks go to Chicago and the Bears win their first game in 10 weeks, the Rams will still have to play next week for the NFC West Championship against the Seattle Seahawks. And ultimately, that'll probably be the game on Sunday Night Football. But again, we'll see. I think it'll be the game on Sunday night. But yeah, they'll beat the Cardinals. I don't know. Kyler Murray's not playing great football. Trey McBride, after the end of the game, by the way, Trey McBride is going to break 1,000 yards this season. Will he score a touchdown? I don't know. But Trey McBride, after the game, obviously he's walking down the tunnel in Carolina, and he's saying, well, we're sorry as hell or whatever, which is true. The Cardinals are really sorry. They're horrible. I had a lot of hope for this football team. Guys, they were 6-4 at going into the bye week. I thought, all right, they go to Seattle, they win. They lose the Vikings, they beat Seattle, they beat New England, they beat Carolina, boom, this team's in the postseason. For the longest time this season, I was saying, before the Cardinals bye week when they were 6-4, I was saying, all right, Cardinals 49ers is probably going to determine who wins the division in week 18. That's the game on Sunday Night Football. Well, that game's not going to mean anything this year, obviously. The Cardinals are done. James Conner's running the ball well. Kyler has really struggled recently. So he'll have his nights, but Murray just has not been good coming off the bye week, and ultimately, again, that's where the Cardinals needed him to make the postseason. Guys, the Cardinals have been in the postseason once in the last 10 years. It's just Arizona has struggled to see playoff football for the longest time. The Rams have had success in the NFC West. Obviously, they won a Super Bowl. The Seahawks have won a Super Bowl in the last 10-ish years, right? Or been to a Super Bowl in the last 10-ish years, won a Super Bowl in the last 15. The 49ers have been to a couple Super Bowls. The Cardinals have been one of these teams which is they're the odd one out in the NFC West. They have not seen their success like these other teams have. Is it a Kyler Murray problem? I don't know. Obviously, they're not going to move on from Kyler, but I don't know, man. It's just, when will Arizona have their year? I don't know. The Rams are obviously the much better football team. This offense, has struggled a little bit. They have. But Kyron Williams has really, done well for this football team on the ground. Cooper Kupp's been kind of non-existent recently, I'm not going to lie. It's been a lot of Puka Nacua, which is fine. I think Puka, again, is going to be a top 5 receiver for years to come in the NFL. I think, again, who knows what the Rams' future holds. I think next year is the last year of the Stafford Cup, run in Los Angeles. I think after next year, they're going to kind of tear it all down just because they have to with their cap situation, and they're probably just going to have to build around, again, Puka, and probably draft a quarterback. So if Stafford still wants to play, Stafford will probably play elsewhere in 2 years. But I think Stafford's done, honestly, after next year. We'll see. But I think, again, the Rams are going to give it another go this year, and they should, because they're going to win this division. They'll probably beat the Seahawks next week. It's going to be the Los Angeles Rams to take down the Arizona Cardinals. It's in LA. Again, ultimately, the game doesn't really mean too much, but the Rams will win, and they will cover the 5.5 points as well. Next up, we go to the Sunday games. We start things off here with the Buffalo Bills taking on the New York Jets. I'm not picking the Jets. I'm just wearing a Zach Wilson jersey. By the way, free Zach Wilson. He should be a starting quarterback in this league. I'm going to keep campaigning for Zach Wilson and Will Levis to get jobs as starters next year in the NFL. Will it happen? Probably not. But hey, there's a job for Will Levis in New York next year with the New York Jets. I'm serious. That's going to be Kirk Cousins' job, isn't it? It is. Or maybe Justin Fields. I don't know. I think the Steelers probably hold on to Fields. Yeah, Jets and Bills. Give me the Bills. All right. The Jets have looked better. I'm not going to lie. Well, no, they haven't. The Rams game, they look all right. But it's just, the Jets keep shooting themselves in the foot. Like, I feel like, honestly, the Rams game wasn't that bad. They'd get into plus territory, and then something would just happen. They'd either stall out, they'd miss a field goal, they'd not get on fourth down, and they scored 9 points. We'll see what Aaron Rodgers does next season. Again, I don't think Aaron Rodgers returns to this football team. I don't, honestly, at this point in time, I don't know where the hell Aaron Rodgers is going to go. I could talk about it every week. I was thinking, maybe Vikings, but now, why the hell would the Vikings choose Aaron Rodgers over J.J. McCarthy or Sam Darnold at this point? I think Darnold's future lies in Tennessee, probably, but honestly, wait, hold on. The Raiders now, by screwing themselves out that pick, probably aren't landing Shedeur Sanders. Hear me out. I think the Giants still get Cam Ward, but I think the Tennessee Titans are probably going to get Shedeur Sanders. So that opens up the Raiders' job. Is Rodgers going to be a Raider next year? That's a move Tom Brady would make. It's a move Tom Brady would make. I don't know. I could see it happening. Give me, though, the Bills to win this football game, and they will cover the 10 points as well. Sure, they had a tough game last week against the New England Patriots. I love how CBS Sports tweeted when Josh Allen threw a pick, Josh Allen throws an arm punt to the 1 yard line. That's ridiculous. That's Mahomes level glazing, so we need to tone it down a little bit. But yeah, ultimately, Josh Allen did not have that big of a game last week. He had 100 yards. Is he still the favorite for MVP? He's got to be, right? No way Lamar. Yeah, Josh Allen's minus 500. Lamar is plus 350. Saquon's plus 1,400. Jared Goff's plus 2,500. Why the hell is Patrick Mahomes fifth? Patrick Mahomes is plus 10,000. Sam Darnold is plus 10,000. Tell me Patrick Mahomes has a better chance to win, the same chance to win MVP as Sam Darnold. I mean, the finalists again are going to be Allen, Lamar, Saquon, Goff, but it's going to be Josh Allen. Even though stat-wise, when you look at it, yeah, Lamar Jackson has been better, but Josh Allen's going to be the number 1 seed or the number 2 seed in the AFC, and Lamar Jackson might not even win his division. I know, again, the AFC North is way tougher than the AFC East. This game's not competitive, though. It's not. It's in Buffalo. I don't know. Rodgers is kind of checked out, I feel like. Even though he's been playing really good football recently, I'm not going to lie. Rodgers has been playing well. It's just the rest of the team sucks like hell. They got a chance to, they're down 2 scores last week, but, the Rams pumped them the ball back with 2 minutes. Maybe Rodgers can make some magic happen, and they muff the punt, and the game's over. So, I can't trust the Jets to do anything. I'm just wearing the jersey because I want Zach Wilson to get a starting job next year somewhere. Let's make it happen. Hell, Vegas. Come on, Tom. Let's bring Zach Wilson in. Yeah, give me the Buffalo Bills, though, to destroy the New York Jets and cover the 10 points as well. And next up, we go on to the AFC South. The Jacksonville Jaguars are playing the Tennessee Titans. This, honestly, if you're a fan of either of these teams, you want your team to lose. That's the unfortunate part of this. Because the Jaguars, by losing, keep themselves alive and potentially getting, a premier prospect, maybe a playmaker like Terratoma McMillan, like a Travis Hunter potentially. And for the Tennessee Titans, if you lose this football game, you are very alive and likely going to get either Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. Because I think the Titans are picking a quarterback, I think. Because obviously, again, they've given up on Will Levis, which makes no sense to me. I get it. Okay, if you're going to, for the Titans, if you are saying, all right, we're going to go to Shedeur Sanders, we're going to go to Cam Ward in the offseason, that's fine. Do that. Why is Mason Rudolph playing these football games, though? What does playing Mason Rudolph do for you right now? I'm serious. Nothing. It does nothing for the Titans to play Mason Rudolph. I don't care. Oh, they almost came back and beat the Colts. No, they were down 38-10 in that football game. Mason Rudolph has 8 interceptions to 8 touchdowns. Levis has 12 and 12. They throw the ball, same completion percentage. Levis, again, same yards per attempt. Oh my goodness, it's like they're literally identical. So why play the 30-year-old and the second-year guys on the bench? It doesn't make sense. I don't know what the Titans are doing. I don't know what they're doing. So quickly do teams give up on their guys. I thought Levis was going to be the franchise guy for Tennessee. I think, again, if you give him one more year, who knows? Guys, the Titans aren't doing anything next season. So you might as well give Levis another year. Get him a playmaker. Go out and get McMillan next season in the draft. Boom. You match up McMillan. You put McMillan on one side. If they get Calvin Ridley back, you get Calvin Ridley. Guys, what do you expect Will Levis to do with this football team? An aging Tony Pollard, who's actually been good, but then Calvin Ridley, Chigi Okonkwo, Nick Westbrook-Akine, a washed Tyler Boyd. What do you expect him to do? Give him some young pieces and give him a shot. If it doesn't work, okay, then go out and get the veteran guy. I think the Titans should get McMillan in the draft. They're not going to do it. They're going to probably pick a quarterback, which is fine. But then the same thing is, okay, same predicament. You get Shedeur Sanders. Likely, though, you get Cam Ward. What happens? You're going to build around Cam Ward with these guys? I don't know. This football game, though, give me the Jaguars. I refuse to pick the Titans without Will Levis. Mason Rudolph's not winning this football game. The Jaguars have the best player on the field on offense. It's Brian Thomas. Mac Jones wasn't great last week against the Raiders. He wasn't. But honestly, it was just the fact they can't run the football, and they just stalled out at every chance that they got. Give me the Jaguars to win this football game. Also, the game is in Jacksonville as well. Give me the Jags to be the Titans at home and obviously to cover the 1 point as well. Next up, move on to Tampa Bay, Florida. I'm so disappointed in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Words cannot describe how disappointed I am in this football team. Losing in Dallas to the Cowboys. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. It's embarrassing. It's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing. There's no other way to put it. It's embarrassing. It's just, how much does Baker need to do, man? How much does Baker Mayfield need to do for this football team? It's annoying. Because Baker puts his team on his back every single week, and now they are on the brink of missing the postseason. They're not going to miss, because we're going to get to Sunday Night Football. And the Washington Commanders on the spread is the biggest max ever. We are putting it all on the Commanders. Kind of, we're betting with heart here because we want to see Baker Mayfield in the postseason. But come on. The Commanders better not lose to the Atlanta Falcons. I do not want to watch the Atlanta Falcons in the playoffs. It will piss me off if I have to sit there and watch that team get demolished in the first round by the Minnesota Vikings. Because the Bucs will put up a fight. Or the Green Bay Packers. Doesn't matter. The Bucs will put up a fight. The Bucs will give you a fun game. Atlanta? I don't know. I don't know why I just have such a disdain for the Atlanta Falcons. Younghoe Koo's out. My favorite player on that team's injured too. So it's like, who cares? The Panthers will roll over the Bucs. Or sorry. Oh my goodness, no, I mean to say. The Bucs will roll over the Panthers. That's not a hot take at all. Carolina, again, Bryce Young, guys, is playing really well. He's the franchise guy. Big win in overtime over the Cardinals. Chuba Hubbard's big touchdown run just lost me the fantasy week, so I'm now eliminated. It was a good run. It really was. Anyways, I scored 125 and lost this week. It's ridiculous. I scored 125, but I kid you not, I was playing the best 16-man league league team that anybody has ever assembled. Baker Mayfield, Puka Nacua, T. Higgins, Saquon Barkley, Chuba Hubbard, Dalton Schultz, JSN, Caleb McLaughlin, Chiefs defense is what I lost to. The bench is horrible for that guy's team, by the way. My team, again, we lost with Jalen Hurts, that just lost me the week, basically, but A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra, Devon Achane, Travis Etienne, Njoku, Kendre Miller, Chad Ryland, and Falcons defense really kept me in the game last week. But, man, it was a good run. It was a great run. Anyways, give me the Bucs, beat the Panthers. Bryce Young's good, yeah, but Tampa won the first game in overtime in Carolina. They're going to win the second one. Season's basically on the line. The Bucs have to win this one to stay alive. Yeah, they could lose and the Falcons lose, and then they'd still be alive for next week. But for all intents and purposes, this is the division for the Buccaneers. They will beat the Saints next week. The Saints are horrible, so this is the game. Tampa's got to win this one, and I think they will. Again, if Sterling Shepard doesn't drop those two passes at the beginning of the game, I think everything changes, I'll be honest with you. And if Rachaad White doesn't fumble, the Bucs probably win the football game. I thought Baker was going to go down the field and score. It really sucks. It really does. Give me the Bucs, though, to beat up on the Panthers. They'll cover the 8 points, too. This is not too hot of a take. Give me Tampa to win at home at Raymond James. Next up, we go to the New Orleans Saints and the Las Vegas Raiders. I think this line has shifted. Yes, it has. So I made this graphic during the Monday Night Football game last night between the Raiders and the Saints. The Saints are now underdogs. I'm going to take the Saints to win, though. Guys, the game is still in New Orleans. And the Saints just ran into the Packers, who are arguably playing the best football in the NFL right now. I'm not joking. The Packers are that good. They really are. So I don't really think it's a horrible loss for the Saints. It is, because they were the first team to get shut out this season. But they go from playing the Packers on the road at Lambeau to the Raiders. Like, it's just, guys, this team was competitive at home in their last home game against the Commanders. Who's to say they're not going to be competitive against the Raiders? Now, I know, this is a game that doesn't matter, so I wouldn't bet on this regardless. Like, I fell into the trap. I bet on the Jaguars last week. I did hit on a crazy parlay at the same time, but I hit on 7 teams. It was, Colts, Lions, Bills. I know I threw them in there. Dolphins. I had 7. Who else won? Rams. I don't know. There's 2 other teams in there. Oh, Falcons was one, and then I did not take the Commanders. Who did I take? There was one more team in that parlay. Regardless, but I fell into the trap of betting on the Jaguars last week in a meaningless football game. Don't fall in the trap. Don't bet on meaningless games. This game doesn't matter. This is like the equivalent of betting on a preseason game, right? I think the Saints do get it, though. Okay, they are at home. I think it's, again, if you are going to bet on it, it is a plus money spot because this line has shifted. The Raiders, okay, they win one game at home against the Jaguars. Guys, this team hasn't won on the road since the second week of the year where they somehow beat the Baltimore Ravens. But I don't think the Raiders pulled off in back-to-back weeks. I think the Saints do get it here, and I think, again, the Raiders, they should try to lose this game because if they win, that draft pick goes from here up to here. Like, again, they just fall deeper into the draft, and it kind of eliminates their chances of just straight up drafting a quarterback. They'd have to get trade for that pick. Give me the Saints. Give me New Orleans to win this football game with Spencer Rattler. I know, again, the Saints are very injured. They really are. Again, no Kamara. Thought Kendre Miller was going to be great for the team. I don't really know what they're doing. Kendre Miller barely got the ball. I'm not taking the Vegas Raiders to win back-to-back games. Again, Brock Bowers is great. Aiden O'Connell is serviceable. But give me New Orleans to win the game at home. It's in the Superdome. That's really the only reason why I'm picking the Saints in this game. I think whoever the home team is, I'd take to win. I'm not picking the 3-win Raiders to win a football game. Give me the Saints to get the job done at home, again, in Louisiana, in the Superdome. Next up, we move on to the New York Football Giants hosting the Indianapolis Colts. Again, the Colts are still very alive. We just broke it down earlier. All the Colts need, it's a lot, but this is what they need. Bengals beat the Broncos this week, Broncos to lose to the Chiefs next week, and Steelers to beat the Bengals, and all the Colts have to do to get into the postseason is beat the Giants and beat the Jaguars. They could have made it so much easier on themselves if they just beat the Broncos 2 weeks ago, but it's fine. The Colts can actually still get in. I don't want to watch the Colts in the playoffs. I just don't. I'd rather watch the Dolphins. I'd rather watch the Bengals. Hell, no, I'd probably rather watch the Broncos. Just because I don't think the Colts have a chance of doing anything in the playoffs. I really don't think they do. I don't know. They're going to beat the Giants, though. The Giants are a whole nother level of bad, right? They will have the first pick in the draft. They will get the selection. All right, who do you want? Do you want Cam Ward? Do you want Shedeur Sanders? Do you possibly want Travis Hunter at that one spot? Who are they going to take? If they're not dumb, they'll be Shedeur Sanders. Who knows? I have a feeling they're going to trade down. I have a very good feeling that the Giants are going to trade down. We'll see. They're not winning another game for the rest of the year, obviously. They have to go to Philly next week. There is a chance. I don't think it's going to happen because I don't think the Eagles are going to have nothing to play for next week. But there is a slight chance that Saquon Barkley breaks Eric Dickerson's record next week against the Giants. I don't think it's going to happen, though, because, again, I don't think the Eagles are going to play their guys. I'll get to Philly in a minute. But the Colts will just run right over the squad. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. The Giants are absolutely horrible. The Falcons dominated, and the Falcons are not good. Drew Lock, it is what it is. They can't scapegoat Daniel Jones anymore. The fact that they benched Daniel Jones was ridiculous. They've been worse without Daniel Jones. I mean, I don't care, again, if you're not going to start him next season, fine. Why the hell are you releasing the guy? Well, I mean, why are you benching the guy first off? They were going to be bad regardless. It doesn't matter. You look at the Colts, right? Richardson's all right. They had a good game against the Titans, and they almost blew it, which was funny, but then they ended up winning it, so it's fine. JT had 218 yards. You might replicate that this week. Let's be honest with ourselves. Guys, Jonathan Taylor might have another monster game because, he's going from the Titans to the Giants. The Giants suck. It sucks Michael Pittman's just, kind of just not involved on this team after they paid him a lot, too. Pittman only has 627 yards this year. It's unfortunate. I mean, how many yards did Pittman have last year? He definitely had more. I think he broke 1,000 last year. Yeah, this is going to be his worst year since his rookie season where he missed 5 games. Seriously? Damn. I don't know. I mean, Pittman's stuck in Indianapolis. I know he's happy out there too. He's got his whole ranch and his farm, but I wish Pittman was more of a player for this team because Michael Pittman's good. It's just that Richardson doesn't get him the football. I don't know. The Colts went on the road, though, because the Giants are just horrible. -8. Give me the Colts to cover. Next up, we go to Philadelphia. The Philadelphia Eagles take on the Dallas Cowboys. I get it, the Cowboys are coming off a win, but the Eagles are not losing this game. I don't think Jalen Hurts is playing. I wouldn't think he's playing. I think he's still in protocol, and I think he's got a concussion because obviously he didn't come back. I didn't win in fantasy because he didn't come back, obviously, which is fine. So it's going to be Kenny Pickett this week for the Cowboys. Okay, that's fine. They'll win. I think Kenny Pickett will be fine to beat this Cowboys team because ultimately Kenny Pickett's not going to have to do much. Guys, Kenny Pickett's job with Jalen Hurts out is going to be, all right, hand the ball off to Saquon Barkley, and then when you do throw, just throw the ball to A.J. Brown. Then that's all you have to do, right? That's all Kenny Pickett has to do for this football team. Okay? Give the ball to Saquon, and then when we do ask you to throw, just key in on A.J. Brown and throw him the ball. The Cowboys, again, they've looked better recently, honestly. Cooper Rush has been playing pretty well. They couldn't run the ball against Tampa. That's really every team, though, against the Buccaneers. But CeeDee Lamb's a monster, obviously. Cooper Rush is playing pretty well last week, but now they got to go on the road to play Philly. Yeah, I don't think they're going to be fine. I think Philadelphia kind of dominates. Philly should be able to run all over them, right? The first game that they played, the Eagles and the Cowboys did. The Cowboys played their worst game all season. It was in Dallas. Cooper Rush had 45 yards passing. Rico Dowdle had 53 yards rushing. It was all around just bad. Saquon only ran for 66 yards, but I don't know. Just field positioning was great for Philly all day long because of the mistakes Dallas made. And I just think Philly dominates this ball in every sense of the imagination. English is tough sometimes. In every sense of the imagination, I do think that Philadelphia, I think that's the right saying, I do think the Eagles dominate this football game. Again, the Cowboys just, they're not bad, but going into Philadelphia is going to be tough. Saquon is still chasing the record, even though I don't think he gets it. It's just because of that Pittsburgh game with those 65 yards, it really makes it difficult. But again, Kenny Pickett playing this game is difficult for the Eagles, but at the same time, again, his job is fairly easy. Hand the ball off to Saquon and just get it to A.J. Brown. Because you saw so many times last week, he was just forcing the ball to A.J. Brown. He wouldn't come down with it sometimes, but Lattimore would be, either holding him or it'd be pass interference on Marshawn Lattimore for the Commanders, and they'd get the yards anyway. So A.J. Brown finished with 100 yards, but ultimately he made up for about 170 because of the pass interference yards that he got against Lattimore. Same thing is going to happen. The Cowboys secondary, I think, again, is going to get shredded by just A.J. Brown. As a whole, yes, they're not going to get shredded by Kenny Pickett, but they're going to have trouble dealing with A.J. Brown. And I think against Saquon's going to have a fairly big night as well. Games in Philly, Eagles need to win. Actually, no, the Eagles kind of don't need to win. We'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to the NFC North in a minute. But give me, again, Philadelphia to beat the Cowboys in Pennsylvania. Next up, we move on to the Miami Dolphins taking on the Cleveland Browns during the 1 o'clock slate. There are only two games at 1 p.m. or the 105/125 slate, the afternoon slate for next week or this week. It's the Dolphins and the Browns, and then the 125 game on Fox. I assume the game, America's game of the week with Tom Brady, will be the Green Bay Packers and the Minnesota Vikings. But first off, we get the Dolphins and the Browns. A meaningless football game for the Browns. And I'll say it, guys, the Browns aren't going to win a football game with Dorian Thompson-Robinson at quarterback. They're just not. I don't know what they're doing there. It's obviously a tank thing. It's like the same thing that happened when the Jaguars benched Gardner Minshew the year before they got Trevor Lawrence because they wanted to tank. Who they start? Mike Glennon, I think, or Jake Luton, one of the two guys. It's the same thing that's happening with the Cleveland Browns. They are literally just trying to tank because Jameis gives them the best chance to win. They're just doing it because, DTR, we're not going to win with him. He can't make the plays Jameis does. Sure, he doesn't turn the ball over as much as Jameis, but honestly, he kind of does watching that Bengals game. Guys, the Browns, we talk about how bad the Bengals defense is every week. The Browns scored 6 points against the Bengals. 6 points. Guys, DTR... No, he does have more picks than oh no, he has more picks than Deshaun. No, okay, Jameis, he's got 12. But guys, DTR, listen to DTR stats this week. I'm not trying to hate on Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I loved watching the dude at UCLA. But guys, DTR is 35 for 68 throwing the football, 51% completion rate, 257 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. Why did Jameis Winston get benched? Why? And this team's just going to go back to Deshaun Watson next year, which honestly, I get. You have to pay him anyway, so you might as well start him one more season. But there goes Jerry Jeudy's production. There goes David Njoku's production. What are they going to do at running back? I don't know. Maybe the Browns honestly look at taking Ashton Genty because, again, Nick Chubb's done probably. Jerome Ford's not the solution. The Browns are screwed. Their defense is still kind of decent, honestly. I mean, holding the Bengals to 24, really that was 17 if, again, Burrow doesn't audible out and throw that deep ball to Chase at the end of the game. Their offense is horrible. It's really bad with DTR. Guys, the number one stream play for defenses in the championship week this year, if you don't have a reliable defense, in fantasy football is the Miami Dolphins, because they are going to turn over DTR a lot. We want to talk about Jameis's interception numbers. Look at DTR. At least Jameis throws touchdowns. DTR's got 0 tutties. He's got 5 picks. It's ridiculous. They can't win. They can't score. The Dolphins will win this football game, and it's not going to be close. Miami, I know they have to go back in the cold, and oh no, Tua can't play in the cold. They're playing the Browns. Who cares? They're going to win. Just get the ball to Devon A-Chain and just hope. A-Chain's that good. Let's check how cold it'll be in Cleveland, Ohio this week. I assume, 20s probably? It's December. Let's check. Let's check the weather for Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland, this is for okay. Right now in Cleveland, okay, Sunday. It's going to be raining, and it's going to be 45 degrees. Okay, yeah, that's just, I know it doesn't get that cold in Miami, but 45 degrees, that's fine. That's nothing. The Dolphins played a playoff game in -3 degrees last year. The Dolphins will be fine. They'll dominate the Browns. The Browns, again, have no possibility of ever winning a football game as long as Dorian Thompson-Robinson is their quarterback. Give me the Miami Dolphins to dominate. Again, they need some help. They need the Colts to lose, I think. But for one though, the Dolphins are not losing for the rest of the season. I know they have to go on the road in back-to-back games, but they get the Browns and the Jets. They're not losing down the stretch. It's all a matter, again, if they can get some losses out of the Colts, and they need the Bengals to win this week, and then the Bengals to lose next week. The Dolphins need everything to go their way, but again, they still are alive. If they could have just won, one of the games when Tua was out, or they could have just won the Cardinals game, then they'd be fine. Or if they could have just won the Monday night game against the Titans. I don't know. Give me the Dolphins, though, to beat the Browns. I do think they'll cover the line as well, because, guys, never bet on the Cleveland Browns when Dorian Thompson-Robinson is their quarterback. Because, again, they want to lose. There's no other way to put it. The Browns want to lose. They want a better draft pick. Nothing else to say. Next up, Packers-Vikings. I'm taking the Packers. The Packers look like the better team right now. I'm going to be honest. Both these teams are great, guys. The 3 best teams in the NFL right now might all be in the NFC North. The Bills. But, yeah, probably the Bills. But still, the 3 best teams in the NFC, at least, I think all play in the NFC North. I do think all 3 of these teams are better than the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, again, the team not in this football game that we're talking about is the Detroit Lions, not the Chicago Bears, obviously. But yeah, I think these are the best 3 teams in football. In the NFL, in the NFC at least, right? Jordan Love's great. The run game with Josh Jacobs, amazing. And the Packers, again, this committee of receivers, has been great too. Guys, it is incredibly tough to beat the Green Bay Packers. And you know who's the only teams to do it this season? The Detroit Lions, the Philadelphia Eagles in Week 1 in Brazil, and the Minnesota Vikings. So again, maybe the Eagles are in that category too, but I don't know. And the Vikings, who are the only teams to beat the Vikings this year? The Lions and the Rams. These teams are really good. But if the Packers win, this clinches the division for the Lions. Well, as long as the Lions beat the Niners, which again, we're assuming they do. On Monday night, which they will. We'll get to that. And I think the Packers get him here. I really think they go into Minnesota and win. That first game was really tough, and the Packers made a lot of mistakes in that game. The first game in Lambeau, it was Jordan Love's first game back after 2 off, after Malik Willis won back-to-back against the AFC South. Love threw for a lot of yards, but he made a lot of mistakes early, and just ultimately, again, the Packers just kind of made some mistakes early in that football game. They were trailing for most of it. They came back, but ultimately lost the game by 2 points to the Vikings. I think they get their get back this week. Okay, the way Green Bay is playing recently has been very impressive. After the bye week, they've been great. Take away the Bears game, they do win it, but you look at the way that they dominate the 49ers. They beat the Dolphins on Thanksgiving. They lose the Lions, but that's the Lions in Detroit. That's the best team in the NFL. They win on the road on Sunday night in Seattle. They beat the Saints and obviously dominate the Saints on Monday Night Football. For me, that's not as well. That is partially the Saints are bad, but ultimately, I want to put a lot into just, hey, the Packers are really good. Ever thought of that one? The Vikings are great, though. Again, the Vikings are a good football team. Obviously, that game against the Seahawks last week, I think it was DK scored at the end. I think it was DK. DK scores. And the Vikings respond right away with the big touchdown of Justin Jefferson. And obviously, again, their defense gets their stops and gets the interception of Geno Smith. The Vikings are a good football team. I'm not going to deny that. I think all these teams in the NFC North are really good. I think Sam Darnold's been playing great this season. Sam Darnold, if it's going to be in Minnesota, if it's going to be elsewhere, Sam Darnold has made himself a franchise quarterback somewhere in the NFL next year. He's going to get a big contract, and he deserves a huge contract. Again, it's my whole point with Will Levis and Zach Wilson. why are we giving up on these guys so quickly? Because again, look, the New York Football Jets gave up on Sam Darnold quickly. The Carolina Panthers gave up on Sam Darnold so quickly. And now look at him. He's a franchise quarterback in the NFL. Same case with Baker Mayfield. The Browns gave up on him. The Panthers gave up on him. Goes to the Rams, plays well, goes to Tampa Bay, franchise guy. Give it up on quarterbacks too quickly, man. Or give it up on quarterbacks too quickly. If Peyton Manning had his rookie season in this day and age, in this NFL, guys, who knows if Peyton Manning would have got his second year as a starter? I'm serious. Guys, look at Peyton Manning's stats as a rookie in the NFL. I'll read them off for you. In 1998, the Colts go 3-13. He had 26 touchdowns, sure. He had 3,700 yards, threw the ball at a 56% completion rate, but he had 28 interceptions. Guys, he was second in the Rookie of the Year race this year, only behind Terrell Davis? No. Wait, no, Terrell Davis was the MVP, Rookie of the Year. Who is it? It was Randy Moss, obviously. How did Manning even get a vote? Regardless, there's a chance in this day in the NFL, Peyton wouldn't get another shot until, he comes around the loop again. Oh, a team needs a starter. Let's give Peyton Manning a shot, in his 5th season. That's just, again, how quickly teams move on from quarterbacks these days. It's ridiculous. So you look at a guy like Sam Darnold who's seeing all this success, and it's like, yeah, if a team would have stuck with him and put the right pieces around him, maybe Sam Darnold would have always done this, And again, I like Sam Darnold. I think Sam Darnold's really good. I just think the Packers go in here and win this football game. The Vikings have played really close football these last couple weeks. And sure, the Packers have too, but I think the Packers have just looked better. Guys, the Vikings go into overtime with the Bears. They win. They play a close, low-scoring game against the Jags. They barely get by the Titans. They beat the Cardinals by 1 point at home. They do get by the Seahawks, which is a very good victory on the road. But now you take on the Packers, a team that's been playing that well. I think Green Bay goes on the road and beats the Vikings, putting the Lions in a very good spot to potentially win the NFC North on Monday Night Football. Additionally, this would then put the Packers as the number 5 seed, if the Packers win next week and the Lions still beat the Vikings next week, that put the Packers at 5 and the Vikings at 6. Regardless, we have the Green Bay Packers going to US Bank Stadium and beating the Minnesota Vikings in Minneapolis. Let's go on to the Sunday night game. We go to Landover, Maryland. Again, it's great the Commanders are going back to RFK Stadium. That is awesome. The Commanders are going to start playing in DC again. Maybe they'll be the Redskins again. Just saying. Maybe they'll be the Redskins. I don't know. We've got the Atlanta Falcons taking on the Washington Commanders. I think the Commanders run right over the Falcons, guys. The Falcons, they look good at home against the New York Giants. Well, the New York Giants absolutely suck at football. Michael Penix did not need to make plays in that football game, and I don't want to hate on Michael Penix. I like Penix a lot. I was a big fan of Penix when he was at the University of Washington. But Penix was not forced into big moments in that football game. He's going to be forced into big moments in this football game. Sunday Night Football, the Commanders are coming off a win against the Philadelphia Eagles. That fan base is going to be riled up this week. It's a Sunday night game. When's the last time the Commanders hosted a Sunday Night Football game? I'm serious. When's the last time they were on Sunday Night Football? At home. I couldn't tell you. At home? I mean, I don't know. When was the last time the Commanders... I can look this up. When was the last time... When was the last time the Washington Commanders were on Sunday Night Football, but at home? Here we go. Let me find this real quick. Is there not just like a stat I can find? List of Sunday Night Football results on Wikipedia. I'm about to look up Washington. Hold on a second. I will get this. Let's see. When's the last time they hosted a Sunday Night Football game? I really don't know. Preseason doesn't count. When they hosted the Giants in 2022, why did this game get Sunday Night Football in 2022? What? I don't know. It got flexed in 2022. The Commanders, were they good that year? Wait, no, they weren't. How did this game get Sunday Night Football? Oh, it's because the NFC West was so bad at that point in the year. Oh, makes sense. Yeah, the NFC West was just that. Oh, sorry, the NFC East was just that horrible. But the Giants. Oh, that was the year. Oh, no, that was the Daniel Jones year. Okay, yeah, I get it. Okay, still though, it's been 2 years since the Commanders have hosted a Sunday Night Football game. They are going to put it on the Falcons. Jane Daniels is going to solidify himself. He's already won Rookie of the Year, but he's going to solidify himself as the Rookie of the Year this year. And again, you put the Falcons in a big environment. This team's not going to show up. Michael Penix is in a huge football game to basically put them in a great position to win the division. I don't think the Falcons win it. Guys, I think there's a chance the Falcons lose next week to the Panthers too. Honestly. There's a chance this team finishes under 500. They finish 8-9. This team's not going to the postseason. The Falcons are not going anywhere. Bijan's great. I'll give you that. Kyle Pitts is just, I don't know, not the guy that we thought he was, I guess. Kyle Pitts doesn't get the production, doesn't see the targets. Well, maybe it's like the Debo effect. Oh, well, dude, you just dropped the football. I know it's just one drop in the end zone, but still. Give me the Commanders. I like what they did last week against the Eagles, come from behind victory. Guys, this team had 5 turnovers like the Lions did on Sunday night earlier in the year against the Texans. They had 5 turnovers, and they still beat the Philadelphia Eagles. I know, again, if Devontae Smith catches that ball, the Eagles win, but hell, look at the Commanders. Guys, Jane Daniels run on 4th and 15 or 4th and 10 to pick up the first down. Incredible. Daniels is going to be a superstar in this league, and he's just proving that this season. Washington will go to 11-5. They will clinch a postseason berth. I think they did that last week. But regardless, the Commanders solidify themselves as a playoff team, and they beat the Atlanta Falcons at home, and they could rest their guys next week when they play the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas. So give me Washington to beat the Atlanta Falcons, and then with this result, Tampa Bay Buccaneers end up back in the postseason. Give me Washington to win. They'll cover the 4 points as well. As we go on to Monday Night Football in Santa Clara, California, the Detroit Lions take on the San Francisco 49ers. This is highway robbery. Absolutely hammer -3.5 for the Detroit Lions. They are not losing to the 49ers, especially the Lions still have something to play for. And you know damn well all those guys on that Lions team remember what happened last year when their season ended. They had the 49ers last year, and they gave it away. They did. That was a game where I love Dan Campbell, but that was a game where I blamed that loss on Dan Campbell. Why are you going for it in a game where it was either tied or they were down 3 from the 30-yard line, and they went for it on 4th and 5? It's just they tried to get too aggressive in that football game, and ultimately, again, it was the Lions' downfall last season. They are much better this year, but those guys on that football team, Jared Goff and company, Amon-Ra, that defense, they are not going to forget what happened to end their year last year. They are going to absolutely put it on the 49ers. Guys, this is a 20-plus point victory for the Detroit Lions. That's just how they play. Guys, the Lions going fake fumble touchdown pass in a game where they're already at 3 scores against the Chicago Bears shows how deep that playbook is. If they're busting that out against the 4-win Bears in a 3-score game, what the hell else is in this playbook? I mean, hell, you got the screens to Penei Sewell. They're throwing touchdown passes to Dan Skipper. You got Taylor Decker lining up at tight end and receiver. Like, it's just... Ben Johnson is an absolute genius. Dan Campbell is a genius as well. The Detroit Lions are still winning the Super Bowl, and I'm not accepting another result right now. They are going to win this football game, and with this win, the Detroit Lions will lock up the number 1 seed in the NFC because the Vikings will be out. And they already have it over the Eagles because the Eagles lost the Commanders last week. I do think the Lions will still play their guys in the first half of next week, though, because they'll already have the bye week. I think they will have their guys play the first half against the Minnesota Vikings next week, but I think they'll pull their guys in the second half just because, again, you already have the bye week. You might as well play some, but obviously you don't want your guys to get injured, but at the same time, you don't want your guys playing without, 3 weeks off. I think Detroit absolutely demolishes the 49ers. The 49ers are more than checked out this season, obviously. You had the whole Devondre Campbell thing, obviously, against Los Angeles, and they go into Miami. They, Purdy throws the interception at the end of the game. That was the final piece of my parlay, by the way. I remember I said to myself, I was like, I'm watching the game, like, I just need Purdy to do something stupid here. As soon as that happens, this is going to sound like a LeBron James moment, but when LeBron, caps about everything. But I kid you not, I was like, all right, just need Purdy to do something stupid. Throws an interception, the Dolphins win the football game. They couldn't run the ball against the Dolphins. George Kittle was good. Devo didn't play a horrible game. Juwan Jennings kind of just was nowhere in that one. But guys, again, this is yes, the 49ers aren't very good, but ultimately too, this isn't just revenge for the Detroit Lions. It just is. They've had this game circled for a while. Monday night game in San Francisco. They are going to want to put it on this Niners team. This is going to look like the Lions game last week on the road against the Chicago Bears. They will absolutely dominate the 49ers. You know how Dan Campbell coaches. You know how Ben Johnson play calls. They are going to run up the score against the 49ers because, again, they do not forget what happened to them in the NFC Championship game last year. The Lions won this football game. They immediately put themselves in the divisional round of the playoffs with the first round bye, and the Detroit Lions win the NFC North. Give me Detroit and one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, Jared Goff, future Hall of Famer, to lock up the number 1 seed. The Detroit Lions go into Santa Clara, California to Levi Stadium, and they beat the 49ers by 28 points. The Lions take care of business and absolutely dominate the San Francisco 49ers. So again, you can take your -3.5, or you can take an alt line of -27.5 and get plus 600 odds. you choose. Give me the Detroit Lions to beat the San Francisco 49ers. It's not even close. So folks, thank y'all for watching our week 17 predictions with the NFL. We'll be back next week on Wednesday for our week number 18 predictions. Obviously had to get this one out early this week because the NFL decided to run games on Christmas this year on a Wednesday. So folks, thank y'all for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. Make sure to go check out the college football playoff predictions as well. That's linked in the description down below. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.